Hey guys, wInevitable here with another guide. That's right, we're plowing through the heroes. Gonna get some gameplay up as well, and some other stuff coming before the beta. It's a week from today. Hype, right? 7 days until the 13th. And then we have a lot more players coming into the game. We have Thrall, I believe the new Tomb of the Spider Queen. No, it's the other one. The Egyptian themed map, the name I cannot remember, is coming out. Ranked mode is coming out as well with Hero League. There's going to be a couple different leagues for that, and of course it's a lot of stuff we don't want to get into for this because this is specifically about Chen. In case you haven't already figured it out, let's do a little keg stand right there. And but yeah, without getting into all the excitement coming out, we're trying to get through the heroes before the betas here, and might not get through every single one. There's a few that I'm just a little reluctant to do until I have more experience with and can really do a decent guide on them. But we're gonna get through as many as we can, and take a look at Cursed Hollow again, some of the other maps as well. So lots of stuff coming. Appreciate all the support from you guys. That means a lot, and I look forward to bringing a lot more as the game keeps moving forward and we get into the beta, and everybody else can start to get into the game and enjoy the action firsthand, if you aren't already. So this is Chen, melee warrior from the WarCraft universe, the panda. You can see he's got his little keg that he carries around, and he's got his, we call this, it's not like a scepter or a baton. He beats people over the head. He's a tank. He's a lot of fun to play, though he is, I have to say, at first glance he does seem a little repetitive. His abilities combo really well together, but once you get used to playing Chen, he is such a good hero that he can be a lot of fun because you can make a lot of plays with him if you're good with him and get a lot of kills, surprisingly. So he's definitely someone to recommend. He's a little bit maybe not your first hero, but definitely someone to get to and try out for sure. So let's talk about him. He's like the second tier hit point here. Now, when I say tier, I'm not talking about competitive pick tiers. I'm talking about, as far as tanks go, the top tanks have 1,060 hit points at level 1. He's got 1,040. His health regen is in the second tier as well, right below those top tanks. So he'll be at like about 5,600 hit points at level 20. So not 6,000 like a Diablo and a Stitches, but he's still up there, and it's his abilities that even make him better than, say, a Diablo. He also does not have mana. He's got Brew instead, right here. You start with 100. Kind of like Sonya, the video we did, she has Fury. He's got Brew, and his abilities, all of his abilities, though, will use Brew. And he gets that from using his trait. Not from taking or receiving damage, but actually, if I tap D, this is the drinking animation. It lasts for 5 seconds, and you gain Brew. As you see, you drink from your keg, gaining 30 Brew and 64 temporary shields per second. So 5 seconds, that's 150 Brew. You obviously do not need, you only need to drink for about 3 1/3 seconds to get 100 Brew. You also gain shields, maximum of 192. So 64, times 5, that's obviously a lot more than 192. You don't always need to drink for 5 seconds, is what I'm trying to say. If you're taking damage and tanking like tower shots, sure, they're going to be eating through your shields. Keep drinking, you can soak it up. But other times, especially in team fights, you want to really have to get, that's like the great, you get a good Chen player and then a great Chen player. And the great Chen player knows exactly like how much to drink and when to drink, and is getting the most out of his other abilities in combo with this. And he's not just drinking 5 seconds all the time. It's certainly okay to do that in the beginning as you get used to playing him. Now, the shields that you gain do persist for 2 seconds, not a long time, but it's a little bit, and it does help. So it's not gonna, it won't be there for like 5 seconds like a protective shield would be, but it's that short bit of time. In team fights, you're taking damage, you take some tower shots, some minion shots, and it gives you a little bit of time to escape or to chase someone. So that's this. His damage also, you want to note, level 1 is the highest damage in the game at 50 per auto attack, and he's attacking 1 time per second. So he's in the middle as far as his speed goes. He's not like 1.25 like some heroes, and he's not like 0.9 per second. So he's in the middle, but it does not scale as well later into the game. The basic attack, he does not get as much per level, so he drops off just basic auto attack damage. Just something to note, as you're early on. Remember that you're going to have 50 per attack early game. You could do a good bit of damage to people with your auto attacks. But let's talk about his abilities, and these are what make him unique, along with the drinking, of course, is a big thing. Go ahead and we'll talk about some minions on. Get Arthas and Malfurion out here again. Q, the flying kick, is well, of course they all cost brew, and they all have cooldowns. A 5-second cooldown on flying kick, 5 on cake smash, and 5 on breath of fire. It's always 5 seconds, just like the trait. You can see how this they're gonna combo really well together. You do one, then you do the next, then the next, and the next. It's like A B C D, A B C D, or in this case Q W E. Well, that's not the order, but it'd be like D W E Q or something like that. Q is a damage ability. It's a targeted ability. You have this radius around your hero, and when you tap it, you will actually jump and flying kick, like a kind of like karate. Like you'd see something like the Drunken Panda Master. That is Chen. And so I'm gonna drink for a little bit here. You can see it does 55 damage. It is not going to be, insane amounts of damage just with the base. It does scale up. I mean, you're getting 10 per level, so, and I believe it's 35 base. So, actually now it's doing 55, so it's 45 base. So 10 per level is like 245, right, at level 20. That's more than a lot of auto attacks, but it's not like a Nova snipe, for example. And see, I'm drinking. The other thing is the W and the E, and these go well together. W is Keg Smash. Now the cost here, it's 10 brew, 20 brew, and 30. So if you have 100, you have to start thinking these two together are half of your brew, and a flying kick is 10. And I should probably drink, right? When in doubt, just drink. Just so you can get an idea. Oh, I'm gonna die. Uh-oh. Oh, no, I'm Chen. There are many moments like that. Sometimes you have to learn when you're brew. These shields are enough to keep you alive, and when they're not. And that's something you'll get good at as the more you play him. So back to W, it is Keg Smash. You smash your keg, dealing 15 damage in an area, and drenching anyone in that area in brew, slowing them by 25% for 2.5 seconds. That's a long time. You can see that Keg Smash animation here. Now, we should probably kill Arthas, huh? Alright. And then you have E, and these combo well together. You breathe a cone of flames, dealing 48 damage, like that. Enemies soaked in brew are set on fire, dealing an additional amount of damage over 3 seconds. So, I drench them in brew, and then I catch them, and now you should be able to see, like, I think there was a little bit of a fire animation there. So brew, breathe, and you can see the bars here are ticking down slowly. That's 16, 16, 16, which was popping up again. Gotta be careful. Gotta watch yourself. You're not, invincible, especially early on, level 1. We should probably actually reset this to level 1, just to keep it level 1 for now. So, these are the 3. You can see the damage. They do scale up, of course. You're talking, if I'm looking at this now, it's 5 damage per level on the Keg Smash, 9 on the Breath of Fire. So that's like 110 with the Keg Smash at level 20. Not a ton, but it is an AoE effect. And then what's 9 times 10 is 90, 180, 220. No, 210. 210 with the Breath of Fire. Plus another 210 over damage. So that's 420 if you land the fire on somebody over 3 seconds. And then the Keg Smash on top of that, you're doing over 500 damage with this at level 20. So it's not something to sneeze at, but it's not, like I said, don't expect like a lot of damage. You can get good amounts, but it's just not going to be, like I said, I always compare it to like a Nova Snipe. It's not like that. And of course, if it was, then Nova Snipe wouldn't be anything special. Alright, so we talked about the abilities. There are 2 heroics. We'll go ahead and show the beginning of the build off, and we'll talk about both heroics. One is really, unfortunately, in a poor state right now, which is not as viable. The Wandering Keg. It's funny. It's cool to use. You'll have to use it when you're talent gated. You are going to be talent gated for at least 1 game. But it's just not viable as much right now. It needs to be tweaked a little bit more. Storm, Earth, and Fire is just such a better heroic most of the time. There might be a niche case where you take the Keg, but most often you go with the second one, Storm, Earth, and Fire, and we'll talk about those at 10. Okay, so on 1, there's a couple different ways to build Chen. This is going to be more... let's actually just go through the different options here. You've got Deadly Strike, which adds damage to your Q. Full Keg, which increases the slow from your W to by 1.5 seconds to a full 4 seconds. Consuming Flame, the burn effect on your E lasts for another 2, is increased by 2 seconds, yes, so now it lasts for 5 seconds. That's more damage over time. And then Regen Master, generic talent. I would not recommend Regen. I guess if you needed a really tanky Chen, you could do that, but you really shouldn't need that. Even if you're solo tanking with him. He's got decent amounts of hit points, he has his shields, and he's got his Storm, Earth, and Fire at level 10. So I stay away from this, and these kind of depend on what you want. This is a great slow for team fights and slowing enemy heroes down. Beautiful for that. This adds a little bit of damage to him. And then Consuming Flame is great for pushing lanes because you're going to do a lot more damage to minions. You'll do damage to heroes too, but the idea is if you have a full, you know, if you get that full burn time, you're going to do a lot more damage here. Actually, let's just let's reset this. And we'll show off with Consuming Flame this time, and then we'll take the slow next time. So here it is with the flame. And just look at that burn. Look how large that is. We're at level 10, of course, but you can see it's quite a bit of damage that you're going to be able to do with this. It also burns heroes, of course, but it's really good for, I think, pushing more than anything else when you're in lane. And Chen is a 1v1 lane champion. He barely ever loses a lane. You do have to watch out for heroes like a Tychus. Raynor has like a knockback, any kind of knockback, because if your brew, your drinking, your trait is on a 5-second cooldown, and so say, you know, a good Tychus, if you're in lane, I start drinking, he's going to hit me with a grenade, knocks me out of that, and I can't go back into it for another 5 seconds. And during that time, he'll throw an overkill out, you know, he'll like unload on me with his auto attacks. And so if you can interrupt a Chen, this is good if you're playing against a Chen too, if you can interrupt the drinking, he's very vulnerable. If he can just sit there and hit D and drink all day, it's going to be very, very hard, very difficult to actually get, you know, have a good time with it and actually get a good kill on him, usually. You know, at least 1v1. If you outnumber him, of course, it's a little bit easier then. But that's the secret, is not being interrupted with your D, and then if you're playing against a Chen, interrupting that drinking. And like I said, like a Tychus is really good. Raynor has his Q, which is a knockback. A Stitch's hook can do it. Things of that nature. So, you know, you have to play around with it a little bit and see how it works for you. Like off the top of my head, like Assassins, like a Falstad has no way to interrupt it. A Vala, no way to interrupt that drinking. And if you're in a situation where you have to lane against a Chen, you might be screaming for help, saying, oh my god, I can't, we need to switch lanes, I need help, I need backup. If you have, you know, like a Tyrael has no way to knock him out of it, for example. So you have to be very careful when he's drinking. And you tend to not want to focus a Chen in team fights. Okay, so, level 4. 2 good choices that we want to choose here. Choose from, rather. This increases brew, not going to take that. This increases the arc of your Breath of Fire, not going to choose those. It's between Chug and Amplified Healing. The second one is a generic talent, increases all regeneration effects and healing received by 30%. Chen heals a little bit. You can actually see, where is it? With, no, I know if you take Amplified Healing, you're going to get a benefit out of, I'm sorry, thinking about something else there. With this is just going to basically help you stay, you know, all amplified. I mean, especially if you took Regeneration Master too, it combos really well, but like I said, we probably don't want to do that. This is more if you are going to have like a good healing amount, like you have a good healer in your team, good support, you can combo well with Amplified Healing. But generally, you want the Chug trait. You know, Game Brew twice as fast. This allows you to drink shorter amounts of time. If I go here, actually let's use the abilities. Oh, I shouldn't do that. Okay, so you can see how fast the brew goes up. We throw a keg, we drink. This is just the basic brew time, alright? And there you go. So it's about 3 1/3 seconds, right? If I take Chug, we come in here, we'll combo our abilities. And then we're going to drink. See how fast it goes up? And then I'm immediately back into the fight. It allows you a lot more movement time. You're not locked down into that drinking as much unless you need the shields. In which case you want to keep drinking. And Chen is just, you know, so I got my brew, I'm back into it. Now you have to be careful if you do jump out of the Fortifying Brew too soon. You know, you can't go back into it because it's on cooldown and it leaves you vulnerable without shields. Let's actually walk out. Oh, and another cool thing, you can jump over walls with the Q. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. So be careful. And occasionally if there's someone you're jumping over with your flying kick close to a building or a hedge, you might jump over it by mistake. So you have to be careful with that. And generally I go with Chug here. Amplified Healing is really more if you have good heals in your team and you're just, I guess they're bursting through your shield too much, or they have a good knockback and they can knock you out. Like if you're playing against Tychus, you just might not be able to get used to it. But still, I feel like having this allows you to drink very quickly and get brew in team fights, and it's just so good to have. So I've seen Amplified Healing. I recommend taking Chug. Level 7. we do this is the quintessential talent on Chen. The pressure point on the Q, it roots enemies for 1 second. You need really to take this. This is what makes Chen Chen. And there are other good choices here. It's just that this is so good. This locks down people. For that, it's 1 second. You can land other abilities on them. You can peel for people. You can chase them down and combo abilities on top. So if I come in and dropping this, we'll root. And Arthas will actually be able to show this. If we do some damage to Arthas, he's going to start running away, and the root will be best then. So here he goes. He's running away. Rooted. Alright? Now, unfortunately, it's on a longer cooldown, but I can root him again before he gets through the gate. And you can see, I can actually breathe. Oh, I'm out of brew. I should probably drink, right? And he came back out because he's a bot. But you can see how that, if there wasn't a gate there, I could have kept kicking and slowing him down. And then, of course, with the Cake Smash, you've got the slow. And if on level 1 you took the full keg, he's slowed for 4 seconds. This is a cooldown of 5 seconds. There's only going to be 1 second. Well, he's rooted for a second. So basically, he goes from rooted to slowed to rooted to slowed. And that's why I love taking full keg. We wanted to show this off for the pushing power, but I love stacking this with the root because you perma-slow somebody. You root them for a second, and then they're slowed for 4, and then you root them again. And it destroys people. So I would recommend that, honestly. This isn't bad to try out if you want the pushing power, experiment with it, but that's why I recommend those. Level 10, we'll show off Wandering Keg now, and then we'll go and redo with the Spirits. It's a brew, cost of 30, 90-second cooldown. Long cooldown, expensive brew, but it's really not that much considering it doesn't take you long to get brew at all. Right now I'm getting 60 brew per second, so that is half a second. And what you do, you roll around inside a barrel. Let's just show it off. It's pretty funny. It's got the lulls effect. You can knock people back. You used to gain speed. I don't think you really gain speed as much anymore from knocking people back. Now you do roll inside around it, you deal damage, a little bit of damage, and mostly you're knocking them, and it lasts for 5 seconds. It used to be a little bit better. They I don't know why it was kind of nerfed. I guess they're reworking, Blizzard's reworking the ability, but it was never like the go-to on Chen. At least, after like the first week when people got over the lulls effect, because it's pretty funny. You can if you knock around people, it just displaces them. So like an ETC, you can actually move his little mosh pit around. It doesn't stop the effect. A Zebo with a Ravenous Spirit, it does not stop the channel, and so you can. It's really goofy looking if you want to go try it out. Like a custom game or in an actual setting. So let's reset and level everything back up to 10, and we'll talk about Storm, Earth, and Fire, because that is going to be your go-to, and it's what makes Chen just as much as the root. It's what makes Chen Chen. So let's take the slow here, chug again, pressure point, and then Storm, Earth, and Fire. What you do is you split into 3 spirits. Now they're 3 units, but they're all controlled together, and then you can read the description here. It's 15 seconds, and they each have 50% of your max health. So right now that's 1,600 hit points at level 10. It's going to be 2,800 at level 20. It enables 2 new abilities. You lose your basic abilities. You lose everything. The Q, W, E, and D are gone for the 15 seconds. You have 3. They're each unique. Storm, Earth, and Fire. Storm attacks at range for 80 damage. It is blue in color. Earth, which is green and Fire, attacks slowly, melee attack for 50 damage. Slows by 25%. And then Fire attacks quickly for 28 damage. So it's like a fast attack with the Fire, and they're each different, but you control them together. So we're just going to come out here right away and go right into it. Tap an R right there. You can see Storm, Earth, Fire, and this is the Q. Like that, you can jump into an area, and then W splits you apart. So we're here. That's like a W, and then I'm queuing back in. You can see how they work together. You can't control them singly, in a single unit. They can be split up, but then when you queue, they will jump back together. Another important thing to note, when you come back out after the 15 seconds, you will respawn in order of the name. So you will be Storm. If Storm is still alive, you're Storm. If you're Earth, if Earth is still alive, you become where the Earth is, and Fire is obviously the last and final choice. So clearing the cooldown just to show you. I come in here. Now they're not going to kill Storm, right? So I split apart and then I jump you can see I'm Storm right now, right? So, I mean, he's still alive. So after the 15 seconds, I'm going to appear over here. If we can drag it, there you go. So when you're chasing down a Chen, always know that. Now, ideally, you're going to want to kill the Earth first because of the slow, and then the fire, and then the storm. But as a Chen, you have to be cognizant of which ones are still alive and where they are, because that's going to determine when you use your abilities. It's also great, you can still do a good amount of damage. You can actually body block people if you get the right group, if you actually get on all three sides of them. And here I'm actually going to body block him from getting behind. And so if in this case my Storm is behind the other three, I really don't want to use the W again there, because then it would split, and one would go up, one would go left, and my Storm guy would go back. And if I popped out of it, I'd pop out behind. If the Storm Elemental's in front, you can W again, and then he'll be all the way out here ahead of his buddies, and you can Q again if you have time, but the other ones won't matter when the 15 seconds are up. It's always going to be where Storm is, and if Storm's not alive, where Earth is, and then where Fire is. In those, in that order. It's a lot of fun. It is a longer cooldown, 100 seconds, but it's only 10 brew. It's very cheap. Do make sure you do have brew for team fights, because when you're casting it, you are invulnerable for a split second. You just need the brew to activate it. And so you can go down really low in health, activate that R, and you've got a new health bar. And then you'll return to your old one after you pop out of it. And so right now we split up a little bit. Not the best positioning here because the Storm is so close to their base. And I can actually jump over here and kill him. Now, when you have Storm, Earth, and Fire up, it is much, you can go ham. You can be a lot more aggressive because it's like a free escape too. And it's really great in team fights. This is why you don't really want to focus a Chen when his heroic is up. He's just so hard to kill. So moving on to the rest of the build. 13. By and large, you want to take a Relentless if they have any kind of CC on their team. Like if there was an Arthas with a Kerrigan, I'm going Relentless. An Uther, excuse me, I'm going Relentless. The other good choice here is a Touch of Honey. This increases the slow from 25% to 40%. So, if there's not a lot of quality CC on the enemy team and I'm not worried about getting locked down, obviously if you're locked down and there's chain CC on top of you, you can't use Panda Pals, as Storm, Earth, and Fire is called, and they can actually kill you before you can use it. And that's why Relentless really helps, as well as just generally a good talent. Touch of Honey though is nice because it increases the slow by almost double. It almost doubles it. Oh, I should probably drink. I'm not even looking at my abilities. So we'll go in here and we'll breathe fire, attack him, drink to get some shields. You can see how I'm like basically using the W and E together because they combo really well. And quick cast, I can't enunciate today, is really good on him. It's just because I have to, right now I'm not using quick cast because I was playing Vala earlier, and you have to actually click W after the W and the E. Otherwise I would just press W and it would cast, press E and it would cast, and you can cast it instantaneously and then go right back into D. So it's a really good ability. Of course, you do have a lot of hit points, and the shields you can tank towers like this pretty easily. I'm actually going to reset this, and then we'll move on to level 16. This is where Chen can get a bit of damage with combination attack. It increases the next basic attack after using Flying Kick by 200%. So my attacks right now are 183 damage. 200% of that, we're talking 300, 450 plus 60 is 510 plus 18 is, like 528 roughly. Doing the math. That's a big attack. That's like more than a tenth of somebody's health with just one attack, and if you get a couple flying kicks off in a row, you can see where that really scales up well. I don't really take the shields last longer because there's not a lot of shields there to begin with. They're generally gone. The smash range isn't that useful. You're Chen, you're okay being in close to the enemy. You're the melee warrior, you're the tank, you're going to be close anyways. And then this is, the combustion is the other one you see used. What happens here, instead of dealing damage over time, it is an immediate boom, like if we toggle the minions back on here before it's a reset, we'll just show this off because you know how combustion works. So this goes well if on level 1 you took Consuming Flame. It really works well, but I hate giving up the combo attack too. So we breathe on them, and you can see instantly. And I would recommend too, if you're against a push comp with a really weak team fight, definitely go with the Consuming Flame into the Combustion instead of the damage and the extra slow time, because you can see how that just obliterated that wave. And I didn't hit the entire wave with it. I probably could have. Like here, we'll try and do a little bit better with this wave. Actually wait for them to slow down to stop. And yeah, so now it's too hard, I can't. If you hit them while they're moving, you could actually hit their entire wave and have gotten the whole WE combo off on the entire wave and pretty much obliterated just like that. You do give up that damage though on 16, so this is why it's kind of better to have this in a regular team fight comp. And 20 is going to be Resurgence. You occasionally see a Bolt of the Storm, and possibly with a nerf to Resurgence in the future, you could... I got 4, and you can see these guys are almost dead. That's like a single attack each. Right there. So, generally you take Resurgence, and then between this and Panda Pals, you're nigh invincible, you barely ever die, and for a full death timer, basically, you use these, then the fight is ended, you come back, you go into the fight, you die, but you had Resurgence, and you're back up, right? But by the time there's another team fight, Panda Pal is back up, So, that's why Resurgence is really good on him too, as well. You don't really see this. Elemental Conduit, whenever you use an ability, it causes one of the spirits, Storm, Earth, Fire, to fight with you for 5 seconds on a 9-second cooldown. So we'll show it off just for funsies. But I highly recommend Resurgence. And like I said, I've seen a Blink, but I don't know that I would. There's the Earth guy helping me out. I just don't think I would. I don't know. You could try Blink, I guess, if you want to be aggressive, depending on their team comp. But Resurgence is Resurgence right now, so it's pretty good. And I think I'll get another Spirit. It's a 9-second cooldown, so. Okay, let's. There he is. There's Storm. Okay. So every 9 seconds you get an extra ability. I don't know exactly how much damage they do. Probably not a ton. I guess they do this amount of damage. Actually, you can see for yourself. So that's his abilities. And like I said, kind of depends on what you want. In a push comp, really, you want the flame with the combustion here. But the slow is great. It also stacks well with a touch of honey here if you don't need relentless. Chug on 4 is pretty much a regular talent to go with. Pretty good unless you need amplified healing. The root is quintessential. Storm, Earth, and Fire is like the thing to pick with Resurgence on 20. Okay, and that does the build for you guys. Gonna go ahead, jump off, and just keep dropping some cakes, man. So I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching as always. I'll be back with some more content coming your way.